He married her as a joke, a cruel bet to impress his billionaire friends. But what she did next changed his life forever. Stay till the end to witness a jaw-dropping twist that will break your heart and put it back together. This is not just a love story. It is a story about redemption, strength, and the power of being truly seen. Before we begin this powerful story, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss an episode of our life-changing content. Like and share the channel to help us reach more hearts around the world. This is more than just storytelling. Every tale we share holds a deep, meaningful lesson designed to inspire, uplift, and transform. Billionaire marries an obese woman as a bet, and is surprised when people called me a genius. But I knew the truth. I was empty. Rich, yes. Feared? Certainly. Admired? Only by those who did not know me. I was 36 when I made the cruelest mistake of my life. A bet. A drunken evening with sharks in suits. We were in Marbella, lounging on a yacht bigger than most hotels. They mocked love. I mocked it louder. And then I said it. I will marry the first woman none of you dare look at. Just to prove love is nothing. Laughter erupted. They thought I was bluffing. Until she walked by. Her name was Ava. Obese. Quiet. Dressed modestly in worn jeans and a hoodie far too large for her. But her eyes. Her eyes were the color of autumn leaves in morning light. Tired, warm, and infinitely patient. I picked her. My friends gasped. Some even looked uncomfortable. She heard me. I know she did. But she only glanced once. No reaction. No offense. No shame. That silence haunted me for weeks. And I found her again. Outside a small bookstore, under an awning while it rained. She was holding a tattered copy of Les Miserables like it was treasure. I offered her dinner. She refused. I offered again. She smiled, said yes, and that one smile cracked something in me. I wish I could say I fell in love that night. But the truth? I felt pity. And that was my second mistake. We married within 6 months. Paparazzi had a field day. Tech tycoon marries plus-size nobody. Billionaires bet turns into wedding bells? None of them knew the truth. Neither did she. I never told her about the bet. She never asked. Ava never asked for anything. Not my time. Not my money. Not my affection. She simply existed in the same home as me. Watered the plants. Fed the stray cat that lived on the terrace. Left hot tea outside my office door each night, even when I did not drink it. She loved me quietly. And I ignored her loudly. Until the crash. A scandal. A failed acquisition. A massive lawsuit. And suddenly, I was no longer the golden boy. Stocks plummeted. Investors vanished. Friends? Gone like smoke. I had nothing. No one. And yet, that night, the tea was still there. Hot. With lemon. Just the way I never told her I liked it. I broke. I wept in a way I had never wept before. And Ava, in her quiet grace, said nothing. She sat beside me on the cold marble floor. Put her hand on mine. That moment changed me. For the first time, I saw her. Not her weight. Not the silence. But her strength. The kind of strength that does not scream. The kind that holds everything together when the world falls apart. I asked her that night, "Why do you stay?" She looked at me, those same autumn eyes soft and firm. "Because I saw you long before you saw yourself." I felt shame. I felt awe. I felt love, and this time it was real. She taught me how to live without pride. How to rebuild with humility. I started again. Different this time. Built smaller companies. Local. Ethical. For people, not profit. She helped. She never asked for credit. But every wise decision I made, somehow, she had whispered it into being. 2 years later, I was back on my feet. Stronger. Quieter. Wiser. And then, something happened. Something I never imagined. Something that, a medical report, left on the kitchen counter, unopened. I recognized the envelope, the cold blue stamp of St. Augustine Oncology Center. My chest tightened. I waited until night, when Ava was asleep. The silence in our room was gentle, like her breath. I slipped into the hallway and opened it under the glow of the refrigerator light. The words blurred, but one line cut through like glass. Stage 3, treatment recommended immediately. My legs gave out. I sat on the kitchen floor, knees pulled to my chest, the paper trembling in my hands. She knew. She had known for weeks, maybe months. And she said nothing. No drama. No panic. No burden placed on my already broken shoulders. She just kept loving me. Without noise. Without need. With the same steady grace that rebuilt me. That night, I crawled into bed and held her like a drowning man. She stirred half awake and whispered, "Shoo, you are safe." I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask why she never told me. But I understood. She had protected me from the pain I once inflicted on her. And in that moment, I realized she was the strongest person I had ever known. The next morning, I made her breakfast. Burnt the toast. Forgot the sugar in the tea. She laughed. God, I had not heard her laugh like that in years. It was soft. Crackling. Alive. I told her I knew. She did not cry. She looked at me the same way she did when I first made my cruel bet. Calm, unshaken, and endlessly kind. "We will fight this," I said. She nodded. Not with fear, but with quiet determination. And so we did. Chemotherapy. Hospitals. Long nights with no sleep. I sat beside her through every drip of poison they called healing. Held her hand when her hair fell out. Read to her when she was too weak to speak. Sometimes, she would reach up and touch my face. "Are you still here?" she would ask. "Forever," I would whisper. In those months, I learned what love truly meant. It was not a ring. Not a vow. Not the butterflies or the wealth. It was choosing someone. Every day. Even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. One evening, after her session, we drove to the ocean. She asked me to stop the car. We sat on the hood, wrapped in a blanket, the wind cold but the silence warm. She turned to me, her eyes glowing in the moonlight. "There is something I never told you," she said. My heart froze. She paused. Then slowly, she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small, folded photograph. It was old. The edges frayed. The colors faded like a memory whispered too many times. She placed it in my hand without a word. I unfolded it carefully. And stared. Ava. But not the Ava I knew. She was thin. Radiant. Standing on a stage mid-speech, in front of a large crowd. Her eyes fierce. Her posture proud. Behind her, a banner read, "Harvard Women in Leadership, Keynote Speaker, Ava M. Collins." I looked up at her, confused. Her smile was wistful, not sad. "I used to be someone once," she said quietly. "You are someone now," I replied. She shook her head gently. "No. I mean, I was seen. Heard. Respected." I spoke about body image, resilience, power. I was going to change the world. I felt a sting in my chest. "What happened?" I asked. Her eyes wandered toward the dark waves rolling before us. My mother died. I spiraled, ate through my grief, lost myself, lost my place on that stage. I vanished into silence. Until you found me. I lowered my eyes. You mean until I used you, I whispered. She turned to me, soft and unflinching. No, she said. Until you saw me again. I looked at the photo, then at her, frail from the chemo, hair hidden beneath a scarf, skin pale but glowing with quiet fire. She never needed me to rescue her. She was the fire. She was the storm that softened into rain, the silence that carried truth. I held her hand tighter. You still have that fire, I said. She leaned her head on my shoulder. You gave me the match. That night, I could not sleep. I stared at the ceiling, her breath steady beside me. And I realized I had not married Ava because of a bet. I had married her because, deep down, I had always been searching for someone stronger than my fear. Someone who could hold space for all the broken parts of me. She was that space. And I was ready to be hers. But life does not slow down when you arrive at love. It throws you tests. And the next one came with a phone call at 2:17 a.m. From the hospital. Emergency. Unresponsive. Rushed into surgery. My breath collapsed into silence. I drove like a madman. Every red light, every law, every rational thought, forgotten. When I arrived, they were already inside. I saw her through the small glass window of the ICU door. Pale. Still. Wires everywhere. I pressed my forehead to the cold glass. I am not ready, I whispered. I am not done loving you. Then a nurse tapped my shoulder. Are you Mr. Callahan? I turned, eyes red, heart hammering. She nodded solemnly. Doctor needs to speak with you. And as she led me down the white hallway, heart clutched in a fist of fear, I counted every step like a prayer. Each echo down that sterile corridor felt like time unraveling. 5 steps. 10. 15. My mind raced faster than my feet. What if I was too late? What if the last thing she remembered was the pain and not my love? The door to the consultation room opened with a gentle click. Inside, a man in green scrubs looked up, tired eyes meeting mine. Mr. Callahan? I nodded. Could not speak. My throat burned with unshed panic. He motioned for me to sit. I did not. I could not. He sighed, folding his hands. She went into cardiac arrest just before they began the procedure. My knees buckled, but I caught myself. We revived her. A breath I did not know I was holding escaped like a dam breaking. But her condition is fragile. She is stable for now. We are monitoring her closely. The next 48 hours are critical. I nodded, numb. She is asking for you, he added softly. I ran. Heart thundering. Hands trembling. Hope barely holding me together. Room 412. I pushed the door open slowly. There she was. Alive. Eyes half open. Wires wrapped around her like vines, but her spirit, still whole. She turned her head with effort. And smiled. Even now. Even like this. She smiled first. I told you I am not going anywhere, she whispered, voice dry and hoarse. Tears spilled from my eyes freely. I knelt beside her bed, took her hand, kissed it. I was so afraid. Her fingers, cold but familiar, brushed my cheek. Fear means you have something to lose, she said. You gave me everything, I whispered. And yet you still think you do not deserve it, she replied, a shadow of a grin on her lips. She saw through me. Even now. Especially now. That night, I sat beside her until sunrise. And as the first light filtered through the hospital blinds, she turned her head again. "There is one more thing," she said. Her voice was steadier this time. "What is it?" I asked. She swallowed. Then, "I want to speak at that stage again. One last time. About everything." My heart stopped. "You will," I said. She nodded. Not with hope. With conviction. And as I held her hand tighter, I made a promise. That the world would hear her story. The woman the world overlooked. Would now teach it how to truly see. But just as I leaned closer, about to say more, her heart monitor let out a sharp beep. Then another. Faster. A nurse rushed in. Then two more. Her eyes fluttered. Doctors shouting orders. Hands pulling me back. "No. Let me stay." I begged. I watched as they surrounded her. Her body convulsed slightly. The sound of machines drowning out every thought. I felt helpless again. But something inside me, stronger than panic, held firm. Faith. In her. In us. Because this was not the end. It could not be. I stood frozen behind the glass. Every second stretched like a lifetime. Charging, clear. Her body jolted. Once. Twice. Silence. Then. A pulse. A slow, weak blip on the monitor. But it was there. Alive. The nurse stepped out moments later, her face strained but calm. "She is stable again. For now." I nodded, my lips unable to form words. They let me in once more. She looked like a shell of herself, so fragile, it felt like even my breathing could disturb her. But when I touched her hand, her fingers moved. Just enough. She was still fighting. I pulled the chair close and whispered against her knuckles, "I am not leaving this room." And I did not. For 2 days, I sat there. Read poetry. Played her favorite cello pieces softly. Talked to her like she was wide awake. On the third morning, she stirred. I rushed to her side, eyes wide. She blinked slowly, turned her head toward me, and whispered the words I will never forget. "You stayed." I could not speak. I just buried my face in her hand and wept. When she was finally strong enough to sit up, I wheeled her to the hospital courtyard. The sun was gentle that day. Autumn leaves were falling, and she smiled watching them dance in the wind. We did not talk much. We did not need to. But before we went back inside, she turned to me, her eyes sharp. "It is time." "Time for what?" I asked. She looked out toward the sky. "For the world to meet me again." And that is how it began. We started slowly, video blogs from her hospital room. Raw, honest, unfiltered. She spoke of shame, of strength, of how the world teaches women to disappear once they no longer fit its mold. The response was overwhelming. Women wrote in from every continent. Some crying, some angry, all awakened. Ava had become a voice again, not just for herself, but for every person who had been shamed into silence. One day she turned to me and said, "I want to walk onto that Harvard stage again. No apologies. No hiding." I looked at her, her scarf loosely tied over her thinning hair, her body frail, but her spirit burning like wildfire. "You will walk," I said. And I meant it. What followed were weeks of brutal therapy. Pain. Tears. Falls. Setbacks. But she never gave up. She never let me give up. And finally, on a crisp winter afternoon, Ava stood on that same stage she had left all those years ago. A packed auditorium. Cameras. Reporters. Strangers holding their breath. She wore a deep blue dress. No scarf. No shame. She looked at me in the front row. I nodded. She stepped up to the mic and said. She stood still for a moment. The hall was silent. Not out of politeness, but reverence. A woman who had been mocked, overlooked, discarded, now stood tall, commanding a room that once turned its back on her. Then Ava spoke. Her voice was not loud, but it was unwavering. When I was young, I thought love had to look a certain way. Perfect. Pretty. Painless. But life taught me that real love is not found in beauty, but in the becoming. She paused. The audience leaned in. I was once ashamed of my body, my silence, my softness. Until a man, who had everything, lost it all. And in his losing, he found me. But more importantly, he found himself. She glanced at me. I could barely hold back my tears. This, she continued, is not a story about weight, or money, or status. This is a story about choice. Choosing kindness when cruelty is easier. Choosing truth when silence is safer. Choosing love when fear feels stronger. The crowd was motionless. She looked across every row, every face. So, if you remember nothing else, remember this. You are not unworthy because someone failed to see you. And you are not broken because life bent you for a while. Sometimes, the most powerful love stories are the ones where we learn to love ourselves first. And the ones where the hero is the one who finally learns how to stay. She stepped back. Applause erupted. Thunderous. Endless. She did not bow. She did not need to. She simply smiled. The kind of smile that comes only from surviving everything and choosing still to give light. Moral lesson. In a world obsessed with appearances and perfection, true beauty lies in presence, in grace under pain, in staying when it is hard, and loving when it seems impossible. Never judge someone by their shell, because the strongest souls often live in the quietest bodies. And the richest love is found not in how we look, but in how deeply we see. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it moved you, share it, comment below, and let someone know. You are never alone.